What's poppin', people? It's Dante. Would you take $1 million a year if you had to sit inside of one of these offices in the Comcast Center? No. So yeah, just walking down the street, JFK Boulevard. Who killed Kennedy? So yeah, this is the Eclipse Day. I'm not really too excited, it's just another day, but yeah, I see all these signs everywhere in the city talking about it, so yeah, they have some viewings at the library and stuff like that, so yeah, maybe I'll see what happens. Good morning, bro. Yeah, say hi to the security guards. That guy's pretty chill, always hanging out. And yeah, look at these cars that clean up the streets. You know, God bless these guys that clean up the streets. To me, that's like one of the most important jobs. Like, that guy is a hero, honestly. It seems to me that cities are designed for cars and computers. You know, when I'm observing a city, it seems like the cars take up most of the space, and the computers and the technology that we operate within these offices, you know, that's ultimately where the car driver winds up, right? They come into the city, they park their car, and they go sit down inside the hive. You know, we're like worker bees, right? You must be productive, you must be working for this machine. Maybe trickles of slavery have not left us since the dawn of time. You know, maybe it's mostly a sort of like wage slavery, sort of notions of the rat race come to mind. You know, you're kind of in the cage, caged in, you know, and sort of going for that sliver of cheese each and every day. Yeah, I think all of these cars and stuff, it's humorous to me. These are actually really nice. Look at these electric bikes. So you can boost your ride for an extra 20 cents a minute. Yeah, this is awesome. I love these bikes. I mean, we actually have a lot of great bike lanes in the city. I still don't recommend riding bikes on the streets. You know, these drivers are crazy. I prefer to just use it for leisure rather than transportation. I like to ride my bike where the rivers are, whether at Penn's Landing or the Schuylkill River. It's great for riding bikes. Sort of just use the trail. You know, I think that cycling for exercise is kind of foolish. But yeah, so light versus dark. We have this phenomenon, an eclipse that's occurring. I believe it's a total solar eclipse that will be happening today sometime around 2 p.m. I read. Man, the sun, I gotta say, the sun feels stronger right now. The sun does feel strong today. So maybe there's something about that. I did bring a hat just in case. I'm wearing long sleeves or whatever. I don't know. I'm wearing all black like usual. But the weather's getting nice, you know. It's a nice morning. When I think of light versus darkness, I'm reminded of my time as a child playing the PlayStation 2. One of the first role-playing games I played was Kingdom Hearts. You play as the main character, Sora. Sora meaning sky in Japanese, I believe, which is quite cool. I like that name a lot. Maybe if I have a son one day, I'll name him Sora. That's a pretty dope name. It could even be a woman's name. That could be a girl's name. Sora. Yeah, it's a cool name. Anyways, you spawn in on Destiny Island, right? You're on Destiny Island and you're with your friends. You're surrounded by an ocean. You know, everything's going good. You're on this like tutorial mission to sort of just learn the mechanics of the game. And what they have you do when you're learning in this tutorial island, you know, in the beginning of every video game, they have these sort of like tutorials. So you learn how to press X, B, whatever the buttons were on the PlayStation, triangle. But you're gathering pieces of wood. You're looking for a sail. You're trying to build a raft. You're trying to leave the island. But then, alas, darkness comes, and there's a portal to darkness that takes him and his friends on this journey where Sora wields this Keyblade to fight with light against the darkness. And I suppose you have control of your destiny, right? So thinking of Sora's destiny, he decided to wield light and fight against darkness, where his friend Riku wielded the darkness and became a nobody, soulless, if you will. You see in the game, they take your soul. The darkness feeds on the soul or the heart of the people. The enemy in the game are the heartless. And that's just an interesting notion to consider your destiny and the choices that you make, where Sora fought against the darkness and Riku joined them, right? So maybe the decisions that we make here on this earth, the things that we choose to do and not to do, is important to consider. Maybe our fate is predetermined, but our destiny we can control. And this is through the decisions that we make along the way. Maybe it's more wise to consider the things that you do not do rather than what you do. You know, maybe it's more important what you don't do. Sort of this art of subtraction, I believe, is wise to consider. You know, removing more things from your life. I think in terms of like these modern day notions of luxury, whether it's like these cool cars, you know, that Tesla, does it have the autopilot? If the Tesla has the autopilot, I'd consider it luxury. But the notions of luxury, whether it's like these material things, cars, clothes, watches, all this kind of stuff that you can wind up accumulating throughout your life, yeah, maybe they just wind up owning you in a way where you become enslaved to these items, you become enslaved to your home, to your car, to your possessions. But real luxury is walking. It's being outside in the sun. You know, real luxury is focus, you know, not checking your phone, your email, not having to sit down and operate a computer. To me, these are notions of luxury. The luxury of time. You know, maybe this is why in past lives, ancient philosophers, thinking of Seneca, being a Roman statesman, a lot of these philosophers, thinkers, artists, you know, they were from the bourgeoisie class. They had the free time. That was the luxury, the time to think, the time to actually work on something creative and just think about things and just sort of be. But to me, that's a real luxury. It's time, and it's time spent walking, it's time spent outside, it's time spent in the sun. We have the Masonic Temple, the birthplace of America. Yeah, Philadelphia is the new Rome. Maybe we should look back into the past, thinking ancient, you know, thinking about the Greek and Roman ideals more. You know, maybe they were onto something. You know, I think of the Spartans and the strength and the courage. Sort of before Christianity, really. My critique of Christianity, and so just for the record, you know, I was born and raised Roman Catholic, very much so. Went to a Catholic school from pre-K to grade 8. You know, I come from a family of nuns. Like my godmother was a nun in the convent for 40 years. My grandmother, her sister, was, you know, a saint. We could say she would go to church every day. She really was like ultra, like she upheld these like notions of like giving and charity to a degree that is like unlike anyone I've ever met. Where I would grow up, like when I grew up, we would make sandwiches and go into Love Park and feed the homeless and give these bagged lunches to people during the Christmas season. You know, she would make big meals and feed her family and feed her friends and neighbors, and was always giving and charitable with anything you wanted, you know, my grandmother would get for you. Or, you know, she really believed in this sort of like charitable spirit, this sort of Christian moral sort of way of being with empathy. But maybe to think beyond morals, to actually be more selfish and to be proud and to fill yourself with pride of yourself is actually, like, you know, a good idea. I think that when you're more selfish, you actually will be in a state of being more giving, if that makes sense. Like, your focus on yourself is more important than focusing on other people, you know. And I believe a lot of these like deadly sins, like pride, greed, lust, envy, you know, I think a lot of these deadly sins, when I consider them, I mean, look at how beautiful this city is, by the way. Like, Philadelphia is the new Rome. But yeah, when I consider the deadly sins, you know, pride being at the forefront, maybe these sins and these threats to eternal damnation are worth critiquing, right? So if you are to be proud, or if you're... and notions of pride, I mean, maybe there's like different ways you can look at it, but when I think about pride, you know, I think about looking in the mirror, being proud of my body, being proud of my abilities and my accomplishments and the things that I can do here on this earth while I am alive. And, you know, being proud of my physical body, being proud of my creativity. But maybe the threat of eternal damnation, the threat of eternal torment in hell, keeps everything in check, right? Thinking of Western civilization being founded upon Christianity, essentially, you know, now we are in the United States of America. It's essentially the Roman Empire, the American Empire. I don't know. I think that, you know, these sort of Christian ideals and ways of life and morals and ethics are kind of out the window at this point. You know, I don't think that they're at the forefront whatsoever. It's kind of obvious. But perhaps, you know, when these incredible buildings and things were created, at the times of, you know, enlightenment, if you will, maybe that threat of going to hell, that threat of eternal torment kept things in check, kept people working, kept people doing the things that they needed to do. And I think of this because I'm just critiquing my own like beliefs, and I'm trying to think about how I was raised. And, you know, I think that actually the eternal torment of hell, this thing is designed to just almost just keep everyone in line. You know, don't be proud, don't be greedy, don't focus on yourself, you know, don't empower yourself, sort of be meek, be humble, you know, all these sort of things. But I don't fear hell, you know, I don't fear eternal damnation. I think that actually thinking of Jesus more as a philosopher, right? Let's just disregard religion. Let's say that Jesus was a thinker. Let's say that Jesus was a teacher, a philosopher, somebody who was just showing us how to be. You know, we can forget about the divinity of Christ and all these kind of things just for conversational purposes. Maybe his teachings are the way. You know, like, I think a lot of the things that Jesus says are wise and worth considering, right? So I'll be honest with you, turn the other cheek, I actually think it's a good one. I think that we should control our anger. I think that we should control how we react to the external forces around us. And I can tell you this through experience. you know, while I was in Israel and Palestine, right? So I went to the city Jericho. I took the road from Jerusalem to Jericho. I spent a lot of time there, 6 months traveling around there, as well as 3 months afterwards. I returned, and during that 3-month period when I was alone and I was there, I was living with this Palestinian family, I actually ran into some problems at one point, a very brief problem, where this crazy guy, young teenager, he sort of saw me making photos of his friends and thought that he was going to be cool or show his sort of dominant force upon me or just bully me around. And he grabbed my camera strap and ripped it from my neck and broke my strap. And I had no reaction at all. So I just sort of stood my ground, straight face, didn't cause a scene. You know, I'm not home, I'm not in Philly, I'm not somewhere where I know the police or I know the people that protect us or whatever, you know, or that anyone's watching. I merely just didn't react, grabbed my camera, said okay, you know, and basically turned the other cheek. And what happened is, you know, the elders that were watching, you know, they disciplined the man. They told him that that was not okay and scolded him. And then he went home, and then they told me that he was just some crazy guy and he wasn't mentally well or whatever the case may be. And well, I just went back to my friend Mohammed's house, and he wound up fixing my camera strap. You know, he mended it for me, and I spent every day with Mohammed, and we would walk around and enjoy our time in town. We would go into the center of Jericho City, which is very bustling, lots of open markets. You know, and what's amazing about visiting the Holy Land and what's amazing about actually visiting this place is you can see a lot of these historic sites that are in the Bible. Thinking of the sycamore tree where Zacchaeus, the tax collector, climbed up as Jesus came and, you know, told him to climb down from the tree. I remember in school we would watch Veggie Tales. We would learn about songs to sing, like Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus, climb on down from that sycamore tree. Like, I think that there's something about the teachings of Jesus and the ways in which he lived his life that is wise to follow. I just believe that we should critique and be skeptical and think about things on this sort of more critical, in like a more critical way, right? And to not take everything so literally, but interpret them for yourself. But there is something about the turning of the other cheek that I actually I'm thinking more about, and thinking that it is a wise way. There really is no need to react, you know, just don't react. Worked for me. I'm just drawing on my own personal experiences, but these notions of heaven and hell are intriguing to me. I think that hell has been this concept maybe designed to keep everything in check, to keep everything moving. So maybe to fear not of eternal damnation, but to follow the teachings of Jesus, you know? Yeah, I think that's a wise way. Light versus dark, heaven versus hell, David versus Goliath. When I was in Florence, looking at these sculptures of David, looking at Hercules, Achilles, they actually depict the death of Achilles in that piazza just in Florence. I visited the house of Dante. That was pretty cool. I got to see Dante's dagger. You know, when I look at the physique, when I look at the body and these wonderful sculptures, I mean, can anyone do that anymore? Like, maybe there's like a few people on this earth that can still sculpt like that. I don't know. Like, I think that these artists had these divine sort of callings to make this art where you just see the piece of marble and you etch it just through like the power of God or something. Like, seriously, like there's just, when I look at this, regardless, when I look at these sculptures, I see Hercules, and I feel like that is like, to me, that's like the coolest Greek hero you know, alongside Achilles, Hercules being this sort of like ideal male physique to aspire to be like, maybe, you know. I think that his proportions, broad shoulders, sort of abdomen area, whereas, you know, David being, you know, the smaller guy, I mean, there's nothing wrong with either of them or whatever. It's just like an aesthetic preference. I think that striving to be like Hercules, you know, becoming the sculpture and the sculptor is a good notion. Like, we should be proud of our bodies. You should look into the reflection and be proud of what you see. You know, I believe that that is actually a really critical way forward for me. You know, being confident, being strong, yeah, and striving to be more like these ancient Greek epic heroes. You know, where a lot of these like Marvel movies and stuff that they promote nowadays, you know, they're kind of just like weird to me. Like, we are so interested in these like Marvel films, these superheroes. It's like, maybe we should just look back to the ancient Greek heroes. They're way cooler. And you can see these amazing sculptures in Florence and be like, wow, like, I don't know, it's just something about the past. There's something about looking into the past that's much more interesting than anything contemporary. Here at this Fashion District Mall, there's word on the block that they're gonna make this 76ers arena. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, do we really need it? I don't care either way. People are saying that, you know, it's gonna go into Chinatown and ruin their neighborhood or something. I don't think that's gonna happen, honestly. They did shut down the Greyhound station, and I believe will be part of their arena if they do go through with it, which I'm sure they will, honestly. You know, everyone seems to be worried about Chinatown. I mean, understandably so, but I don't think it's gonna, there's nothing, they're not gonna ruin Chinatown. But like, what is with sports? Like, I guess if you're playing sports, it's good, but otherwise there's no need to watch these things. Like, I just think of like somebody sitting at home on their ass, drinking beer, eating junk food and all this kind of stuff, and like just like gambling and like screaming at the TV or whatever, you know, all this like sports gambling stuff nowadays. It's just foolish. It's like, just go play the sport, you know? Like, what do we watch other people play things for, or watch other people do things for? I think it's weird. You know, why go to the Coliseum and watch the gladiators bash their heads in? Oh, why don't you go and fight a lion? You know, maybe war is harder to find, you know? It's, everything is orderly. Look at these grids. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Listen to the light. Go across the street. I mean, I'm looking for chaos. I love chaos. I thrive on the brink of disaster. You know, I need to destroy, rebuild, and create anew each day. The sun is crazy today. It is actually super strong. You know, maybe the sun is power and food is energy. Been thinking about the differences between these two, you know, power, energy. You hear energy a lot. Everything's vibrating, man. There's energy. I don't know, I think energy is within your I think energy is like, I guess, the protein, something in the cells. It's like the wait. Yeah, it's something in the cells. You know, when you eat food, your body is fueled with energy. But for me, the power comes from the sun. Like, maybe the human body is like a battery and we must charge ourselves somehow. And yeah, I feel as though when I'm in the sun, I feel 10 times better, stronger, more powerful, and also happier. So maybe there's like a connection between the physical body and the mental state or the emotional state, where sunlight is happiness and darkness is sadness. You know, if I'm inside, if I'm confined to my cage in a cave, you know, that's what these like apartments and homes are nowadays, basically. Yeah, it's not a great place to be. You feel unwell. You know, I feel sad most of the time I'm inside. I feel like it's easier to become sad when you're inside because you're sort of just confined. But when you're a free range sort of chicken or a free range grass-fed bison roaming around under the grass or under the sun, yeah, then you fuel yourself with power. Yeah, this is the source of power. Food is merely energy, but the connectivity between everything is interesting, right? Like the connection between us and nature, everything's connected. I mean, it is kind of crazy that this eclipse is happening. The more I think about it, it's like, what are the odds that the sun and the moon align? It really is crazy. You know, what is the Big Bang? I feel like the Big Bang is a miracle. I don't know. I think a lot of science becomes religion too when I think about this kind of stuff. Could you imagine being like Sir Isaac Newton, just chilling in the garden, looking at the trees and looking at the apple as it fell from the tree and being like, oh, that's gravity? Or just discovering these sort of like laws of the universe. People just had more time, maybe. Now we fill our time with mindless consumption. You know, a lot of this social media, a lot of the phone stuff, it's all just junk food, essentially. And I feel like to subtract it and to laser focus is bliss. Like solitude is bliss. You know, I thrive on my own. I thrive going for these long walks. I thrive being outside. I thrive moving my physical body. You know, like to me, happiness is a physical thing. You know, when I'm sitting down, I just feel my physical body shutting down, in turn my mind shutting down, and it's just not a good place to be. And it's just strange to me, the more that I contemplate the way that a city operates, is that we're almost just going against our human biological needs and our functions and like what we should be doing. Like I get that today is a day to wear sunglasses, but I still have critiques on sunglasses. I mean, it promotes not only antisocial behavior, but I believe it maybe weakens your physical body itself, because the more you train your eyes to not gather sunlight, maybe the weaker your skin becomes. And I think it's something to do with just our modern lifestyle of, like, you know, preferring the indoors. And then when you wear sunglasses, it's almost like you're still indoors even though you're outside. Oh, the clock is striking at Independence Hall. But yeah, the antisocial behavior thing, like AirPods in public, sunglasses, like these things to me are not they're not good. The more I think about it, you know, a lot of people can't even make eye contact with you. You'll hold the door open for them, but they're still like on their phone or just like listening to music like it's the soundtrack to their life. Is like everyone's life becomes like a movie or something. It's just weird. Yeah, there's Independence Hall, the birthplace, American Revolution. Let us not forget how America was founded. Yeah, I think walking in grass and connecting with nature and contemplating these things is interesting. Like when I'm on the grid, like this feels better, you know? Like sure, I'm wearing the barefoot shoes, but I feel like there is something about being in the grass. Like when's the last time you touched grass? Like, I don't know. I have a feeling that a lot of people don't, because a lot of us live in cities now. But I think that the city, society, like this is like the pinnacle of human thriving, I think. Cities are good. I do like the city. However, I can tell you that when I lived off the grid, when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Zambia, in Africa, gazing up at the night sky with my host father, Babwalia, you know, I spoke Ichibemba, this local language. I was a member of the Bemba tribe for a year. And man, at night you could just gaze up at the stars, you could see the galaxy, you could see shooting stars, satellites moving. I mean, it's almost as if you look up at heaven itself. And I can't see that here in the city. I can't look up. There's lots of pollution. And perhaps this is what has people more curious. I think, like, I'm trying to explain, like, when you can't see the heavens, when you can't see the stars up above, surely you're not going to have as much curious or imaginative thoughts, because you can't even look up and question anything. But when you look up at the stars and you question, what is that and why? Well, then your imagination, your curiosity, you know, it leads you to the conclusion that there must be God, right? There must be, you know, something that keeps this whole chaotic mess in order. You know, thinking of the sun and the moon and the alignment of the eclipse and the fact that we're here right now breathing. It's like this 1 in a million chance that the Big Bang occurred, all this kind of stuff. You know, thank God for nature. I think that it's wise to return to nature, to return to the land, to return to the natural spaces, and to show appreciation for natural things, because ultimately that's what keeps us here. You know, without the plants, what would the cows eat? And without the cows, how would I feel powerful? You know, I think that there's like a connection between all these things, the insects, you know, feeding on the plants. You know, there's a hierarchy that exists in nature and within functioning societies. Thinking of the tribe, thinking of the way in which a village in Zambia, in Africa, thrives, right? We have the tribe, right? There's like this hierarchy between God, tribe, and land. You know, you wake up in the morning and you see women coming home with firewood on their heads and baby on their backs. You know, you see men building homes and churches. There's boys building bricks. The girls are sweeping the floors and preparing the meals in the morning. And there's one church and everybody gathers at this church, and there's a belief in a common God. There's a common language. There's a structure. There's a hierarchy. There's differences and different roles between the men and the women and the boys and the girls and the teachers and the students. And there's something to be said about the tribe and the hierarchy. You know, I think about poverty. You know, you would make the assumption, or that the people in Zambia, the people in Africa, these people are impoverished because they do not have these material things. They do not have these technologies or cars everywhere and computers and offices and whatnot, and all these sort of material things. But actually,
they can sell money.
To me, they're filled with wealth and prosperity if you look at the smiles, if you look at the faces and the families that are so big. I mean, each family has like 10 kids. It's not like they have just one kid or two kids. Like in Zambia, in the village, they have big families. And to me, that's wealth, right? Having big families under one tribe, under one God, sharing this common land. Yeah, maybe there's something about the village, there's something about the tribe. It's really intriguing to me. I'm really thankful and grateful for that experience. It's shifted my worldview entirely. I highly recommend, if anyone is in college and graduates from college, whatever, totally join the Peace Corps. I think it's so worth it. Definitely Good experience, highly recommend the Peace Corps, but yeah, off the grid. This is the mint here. Are they still minting coins and dollars? What is the function of a physical dollar bill anymore, considering inflation and the price of things? You ever go in the grocery store and wonder, why is everything so expensive? It's $10 for that little piece of salami or what? It's like everything's just like kind of blown out of proportion, you know? And grocery stores in general, they kind of confuse me. You know, grocery store promotes right in the forefront under the fluorescent lighting, you know, these like cereal boxes, yummy sugary cereal, you know, and they have on the cover of Cheerios, it's good for your heart health, it'll lower your cholesterol. Like, it makes it seem like it's actually good or beneficial for your health when it's the opposite. So it's like, what is true, what is false, what is good, what is bad? You know, why are these goods the goods that are filling the cabinets and filling the shelves of grocery stores? To me, it's a conundrum. I don't know how they even get away with it. How can you tell me that it's like this factory made little like piece of cardboard is good for my health? I don't know. It has me wondering why obesity is so rampant in society. Yeah, maybe we're being taught the wrong things when it comes to health, and we have to be more critical about the things that we consume. I think that a lot of these, you know, corporations that sell these goods are kind of a problem. And, you know, maybe with politics, it's just disconnecting from politics is wise. Like, actually, the things that you consume are more important than the things that the people that you vote for. When I think about it, it's like, just don't buy that junk, don't buy that shit Coke, you know, stop drinking sugar, stop consuming all this nonsense. Seems like it would be really simple to lead a revolution, frankly. Yeah, just stop just stop buying all this shit. But I don't think that would ever be possible. I think everyone's going to continue consuming whatever they desire, and that's fine because we have the freedom to choose, right? It's the choice that you make. It's the things that you do and the things that you don't do that ultimately matter. Look at the official energy drink of the WWE, the C4 Energy Booster. You cannot urinate in public. I find that to be so amusing. They have to put a note down to say that you cannot pee down here or poop down here. How funny is that? What amuses me is this notion of dog ownership. When I walk around the city, the amount of people, like a lot of single people, a lot of single men, single women, they're just like alone with a dog. And to me, that's so sad. I mean, man's best friend. Yeah, I don't know. I never owned dogs. When I was a child, I feared dogs. I hated dogs. I never wanted to look at a dog. If anyone owned them, I would just, I wouldn't go in their home, actually. I feared them. And I think rightfully so. It's like we're replacing babies with dogs. That's what it seems like. Yeah, here's the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. And so, yeah, I think, like, I think of my time in Jericho, like, dogs are used in different ways in different places, right? They use the dog. I even have a video somewhere on my hard drive, whatever, of this crazy dog. They took out this dog, it had a muzzle on its mouth. I think they just keep it in a cage and they don't feed it. And maybe they feed it very sparingly. And you know, they took the dog out to show me and my friend. What is that? What is that machine? It's like, Oh, it's organized. Look at these machines, the road zipper. It's organizing the barrier in between. That I've never seen before. That's weird. That's crazy. We have a machine for everything. What the hell was that? So right, so dogs, right? So in Jericho, yeah, they took this dog out and it was so ravenous it wanted to kill me. You know, just like barking and biting at you. And when I think of dogs, I think of war. When I think of dogs, I think of security, alarms. But now we've like domesticated all these little doggies to just be our little pets. They're like our little slaves. Hey, look at the city. William Penn, the man with the plan. Yeah, I think visiting an elevated space each day and also just embracing chaos is wise. Like I love the rush of these cars just coming into the city. Welcome to Philadelphia. Hey, look at that big truck. It's so loud. Like there's something to be said about embracing chaos, where sometimes I like to come up here and embrace this chaotic sort of elevated space, and other times I like to go to the back of the art museum where we have the view of the Schuylkill River. It's beautiful, you know, nice architecture, green spaces, it's quiet, you can hear the birds, you can listen to the water, whatever. But yeah, I find these walks to be interesting. But there is something to be said about visiting an elevated space, right? When you're confined to a grid in a city, and when you can't see beyond these buildings, right? You're just like a little rat in the cage. It's like how to escape from Babylon, how to escape from the rat maze that William Penn laid out. Luckily, he decided to, you know, bring all these green spaces to the city. So we do have our parks, we do have our green spaces, our trail and whatnot. But when you're confined to the grid, you can't see out to the horizon. So if you visit these elevated views, like here on the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, and you can look out towards the horizon, and when you can look beyond the horizon, over the trees, over the river, you know, looking out, you know, looking up at the blue sky, the clouds. Yeah, there's something to be said about the way it makes you feel. You feel as though you can go beyond it all, and I just find it really empowering. I feel like my radio signal turns from static to something else, and I can have this like connection to the world. There goes the train. Yeah, when I'm up in an elevated space, I feel like my signal is better. Just looking out towards the horizon. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light. Yeah, maybe drinking beer, drinking alcohol, all these things are really bad for us. I found that even having a single glass of wine when I was in Rome, the next day I felt so bad. Like you slightly feel a difference, and any slight intoxication or, you know, drugs, yeah, I think it's best to avoid. Maybe the only drug that we should consume is coffee. I think coffee in the morning is good. I like to drink espresso. Espresso gets my body moving. I get my brain thinking. I hit the gym. And yeah, it seems that cholesterol is a steroid. The more meat I eat, the better sleep I get. the more power I feel. And when I'm fasted and I'm not eating throughout the day, and I have one massive meal at night, I have this clear connection between my mind and my gut, my mind and my body. I feel sharp, I feel laser focused, and I think that's the luxury. You know, wasting time eating throughout the day seems like a chore, frankly. But yeah, look at the highway. This is I-95 over there, and yeah, I never want to drive a car. There's no need. I'd rather walk barefoot everywhere. I think that this barefoot training has been really interesting. Thinking of the Spartans and their agoge training, they would train their young warriors to fight and walk and hunt and do everything without shoes. Yeah, so maybe we should become more like the Spartans and focus on strength and power, because I believe in these notions of stronger photographers, stronger photographs. Forget about good or bad, think about strong or weak. Yeah, we don't want to be weak. Yeah. Strength. Pride. You know, I have pride for my country. I have pride to be an American. You know, is that something that's rare these days? So it seems. I was born and raised saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school. Honestly, thank God. You know, I think that taught me early on to respect and love this great country. And I think it's a good thing. So let's be more proud of our nation. Maybe identifying ourselves with our nations is important. You know, while heritage is interesting, thinking of your lineage. You know, I'm Italian. My ancestors came from Italy, Ellis Island, New York City. You know, the great thing about America is you can go from nothing to something. You know, thinking of, you know, the story of my family coming over here. You know, apparently great-great-grandfather, he came over here when he was young, and then he returned to Italy, put his kids in an orphanage, found a wife, brought her back, worked construction, basic labor jobs, big family. And yeah, just over time, the more children you make, the bigger your family, the bigger your tribe, the more wealthy, the more prosperous you become. Where maybe true wealth is within the family, is within a tribe. And you know, I'm thinking of Spy Kids randomly. I'm remembering this scene in Spy Kids when, like, Junie or whoever, like the little spy, he was in, it's like Spy Kids 2. It's like the one with like the volcano scene or whatever, I think. One of them. But he was in this like cave, right? And it's like all this buried treasure, all these jewels and material things, and he touches, you know, or he grabs one of these like diamond necklaces and he snatches the necklace, and then all of the skeletons come to life and go to attack him and his sister, and then his sister was taken away, and all this sort of chaos ensues from him choosing this material thing and then sort of getting trapped within that cave, fighting against the skeletons, sort of in the dungeon. But yeah, maybe we should just follow the light, embrace the simple pleasures like nature, the sunlight, grass-fed beef, and yeah, think about how we can remove more bullshit from our lives and stop accumulating shit. Maybe I should stay up here for the eclipse. Nah. Yeah, I don't know how humans made things like this. This is crazy. This bridge is amazing. But look at this view. Look beyond, go beyond the horizon. Yeah, just look up. Go to an elevated space each day. Yeah, it seems like a good thing. Oh, and snapshot your way through life, of course. And I think that photography is everything. Just harness the power of the light and work with what you got.